In early April 2023, Biden proposed using Title IX to stop schools from banning trans athletes from competing as the gender they identify as. At first, you hear that and many may cheer while others groan. Title IX is the law that prohibits sex-based discrimination for schools that receive government funding. If they don't comply with the rules, the government can withhold federal funding. Simple. There are a few exceptions to this, though. It would give universities and K-12 schools the discretion to limit the participation of transgender students if they find that including transgender athletes impacts competitive fairness or potentially leads to sports-related injuries. This has trans individuals very angry as they see this as Biden betraying his promise to protect trans youth. This is, however, what sits at the crux of this decision: a competitive advantage. So I'm going to be covering the most notable examples of this and a few extras, but obviously I'm not going to be able to find every single example. So if there are folks that I don't mention, please leave a comment and I'll go check this out. This is, of course, in contrast to what happened in mid-2022. The International Swimming Federation banned transgender athletes from competition, including the Olympics, after consulting with several experts to discuss whether they had an unfair advantage. This is unless they transitioned before age 12. Though there appear to be major drawbacks to this, some of which are very disturbing, so I'll be saving those, like I said, for the very end of this video. Lia Thomas, of course, being the most notable trans swimmer after being the first transgender athlete to win a D1 competition, said this on Good Morning America when approached with data showing that they were, in fact, getting a competitive advantage.
There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do. And the biggest change for me is that I'm happy.
Lia says they are happy. That is an important part of this because it begs the question, whose happiness takes precedence here?
But on March 17th of last year, my teammates and I and other female swimmers from universities around the country were forced to compete against a biological male named Lia Thomas. Thomas was allowed to compete in the women's division after competing as a member of the University of Pennsylvania's men's swim team for 3 years. We watched on the side of the pool as Thomas won a national title in the 500-yard freestyle, beating out the most impressive and accomplished female athletes in the country, including Olympians and American record holders. Whereas just the year before, Thomas at best was ranking in the 400s in the men's category. The next day, Thomas and I raced in the 200 freestyle, which ended up in a tie.
As we saw in that clip a little bit ago, Lia's former teammate was not happy about the inclusion of Lia. They say it put them at a disadvantage as biological women. Several teammates said that, in fact. When talking this through with a pro-trans athlete friend who declined being on camera, they said,
"So a few women will lose. Who cares?"
I said, what would your response be if someone said, so a few trans athletes won't be able to compete? Who cares? And they said,
"It doesn't work like that."
It brings me back to what I said at the beginning. Is it still progress if we must subjugate someone else to make room for another? Is that progress? Is that still fair? There will be many topics that I'll ask for your opinions on, but this is something that I really want to hear what people think. Why is this okay, but not the inverse that I asked my friend? Skylar Baylor, another trans swimmer, said this.
In order to exclude the trans women, you have to police all women's bodies, and that will lead to the destruction of the women's category. Trans women are not a threat to women's sports. Transphobia is.
I've already said this, but as I get further into this episode, there will be many examples showing that, yes, there is a threat to fairness as far as women's sports go. If you'd like to hear more about Lia specifically, we cover them a little bit more detailed in episode 22, which I'll link above if you're on YouTube or just go find somewhere else. What interests me most about the U.S. minimal response to this is how most large sport governing bodies are putting more and more restrictions. World Athletics said they'll be forbidding any male to female athletes from competing against biological females beginning March 2023. They said their previous regulations didn't do enough to remove the retained advantage that male to female athletes were receiving. They said that they're going to be doing some further research with a pretty diverse group, actually, including transgender athletes, to see what can be done moving forward, if anything. There is one exception to this rule, however. As before, any male to female athletes who blocked puberty or began transitioning before age 12 will be allowed to compete, which is in line with Biden's proposal. Hey, everybody, did you like that episode? You know you did, and you know you want to see some more. So, oh my God, you should click that subscribe button and then share it to someone else who wants to hear it. And then go find me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever at AndrewPFM and hit me with some questions of your own. So we'll see you guys there later.